G'day everyone, Matt Elder Family Bricks here, and in this video we're going to look at this London AFOLs collaborative white castle build that I was part of. The castle is otherwise known as AFOLbwick Castle, London, and was shown at the Steam Great Western Brick LEGO Show 7th-8th October 2023. We'll chat with the main designer and a handful of the 20-odd builders involved, highlighting various features. We'll show you where you can get some free instructions if you'd like to build this. We'll also have a time-lapse speed build of the main tower and a wall piece, and some tips on building. We'll finish off with some footage of the various details of the castle. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be notified when we upload videos. It greatly helps the channel out. This video is brought to you by Macatsum Holiday Homes in Margate and Broadstairs. Great for a week's holiday or a weekend escape, being just over an hour east of London, UK. Treat yourself to amazing sunsets, a Lego wall, or great food. Visit www.macatsum.com and mention this YouTube video and we'll look after you. I'm here with John Gale, and he sort of designed and organised this, so you just wanted to go through what your involvement has been.
Hi Matt, yes thank you. I came up with the idea for building a large castle for London AFOLs about a decade ago, back when I saw the Tower Bridge set included a little City of London shield. I quite like the idea of getting that, so about 10 years ago I bought about 500 of those shields in anticipation of eventually building a castle, and in the last couple of years I've taken over as project coordinator for London AFOLs and decided that now was about the time to build a castle. We went through several rounds of voting and discussion and eventually settled on building a white castle. A lot of people don't know that castles back in medieval periods quite often were whitewashed, so that was a good excuse to have something that wasn't just your typical grey castle. Most castles you see are going to be grey in the Lego world. It's easy, the pieces are there, and they're easy to reuse for space and other things later, but we decided white was the way to go, and I then sat about puzzling out with some actual physical bricks and built one of the towers. Took about 4 or 5 weeks, I think, to build one of the towers for the first time. That includes a full spiral staircase on the inside. You can see one of our partially constructed towers here, and then the walls actually hang off of the central core. Part of the castle was made possible by the Titanic set, because down the centre of here is a 47 stud long rigid hose, which is then covered in Technic pins, and the stairs kind of hang off of that, so that dictates the height of the castle. It is possible to make it taller, but just adds complexity. So that's the core of the castle. As you can see, it's all entirely studless, so all of the bits that you would see as a minifigure using this castle, if you were to wander around as a tiny figure, all of those bits are actually scaled to a minifigure, and both studless and anti-studless. So that was probably more of a challenge, and without a broken open section like this, it's impossible for the public to see most of it, so it's probably pointless, but I kind of did it as well for the experience of myself and for my fellow builders. Then I decided that I needed to make studio instructions for it so that my associates in London AFOLs would be able to build it rather than trying to build it from just a tear-down video. So I ended up videoing myself dismantling the tower. It took about 45 minutes to dismantle it, and then I used that video on a trip to Portugal for a Lego show on the plane, turning that video into instructions that I could then share and then tweak, and then that was the castle. Did the same thing again for the walls. The walls have got quite a lot more complexity to them than you might realise, because there's sections here that I can just show where there's a lot of building upside down in quite small spaces to get the crenelles and the merlons on the walls, the matriculations, the little gaps down between them. So there's a lot of bits where these walls are actually upside down. More detail and technical kind of challenges were included by adding a little red stripe around it, but we thought that was quite good because it kind of worked with the red cross which is on the City of London shield, so it added a little bit more detail than just a plain white castle, but again making a one brick thick wide stripe in an otherwise vertically oriented wall added a bit of a challenge and meant we could then carry it on around the towers as well. Overall, designing the instructions for the walls and the towers took about 100 hours. In total, the build time between all of the builders for this is around about 750 hours. and it's about 250,000 bricks. The actual setup at the show took us 6 or 7 hours one evening, and then another couple of hours the next morning to get things ready for the public. And the nice thing about having round towers is, as more people were turning up with towers, it's quite easy to adjust the design, change the shape of it. You can take out a little section of wall, close the walls in a bit, and then once it's in its final position, you're then able to add the walkways to access the upper door and join it into a continuous outer circle. These are just a fairly simple construction, but it allows you to do it without knowing the layout of the show in advance. Our members were also invited to bring scenes for the inside and outside, and we've added a few little bits in here. At a later show, it might be nice to have a full base plate courtyard, but that is a lot more time and effort than we were able to commit for this show. So that's the main bulk of the castle. Obviously, the main big thing here is the keep, which I think Matt will have spoken to the designers for, so you'll see that in a lot more detail. And then final touches were things like adding the moat around it and just adding in the little animals and scenes. Another 150 soldiers on the top. These are Lego Dimensions Cybermen, because it's a nice way to get a silver, metallic silver type of figure, and then a bunch of other bits sourced from Lego to go with them.
I'm here with Matt, and he's done this fantastic keep here, so I just thought get him to talk us through a few features and what the challenges in building it.
Yeah, so the keep was built by Sabrina, my wife, and our 2 kids have also been involved, Doug and Darcy. And it's designed in sections, so it's built as 4 walls joined together. Challenges really have been the size and height of it, and obviously getting the detail in. So I built the structures, and I then do the motors and all the bits and pieces. Then I hand it over to Sabrina, and she does all the fancy details, because that's not my thing. So I do big solid structures, and I do motors that work. So we've got a little pig in here. He's actually being roasted. Hopefully we'll be done by the end of the day, and we'll have a nice hog roast for tea. And down here, the little guy with the blacksmith, he's actually got a working anvil, and to do that we had to take one of his arms off, so he's got a little hammer. And then we've got the king and the queen and everybody having a banquet.
There's some wonderful details that you've got in here.
Stained glass windows at the back are actually all little 1x1 tiles. So each of those arches has got nearly 90 pieces of Lego in it. And we think in total there's probably over 40,000, close to 45,000 bricks just in this. In the castle keep, if you there.
Yeah, it's amazing. And up on top, what do we got here?
Up on top, we've got a falcon, so he's flying around. So the falconer has a little hut on top, and that's just there to disguise the motor, mainly to do that. And then just a motor on speed control. And then round on the side, there is moving guys. The idea is that the guys are walking through the window upstairs. There's a guy he's stolen a ham, and he's being chased by one of the guards. So they come up to the window, and it's as though they're chasing upstairs. The other real challenge has been doing the lights for it. So we've used a lot of LED strip lights, because Lego don't make lights that are good. And then in each of the rooms, there's one of these little like a puck light, and then there's nearly, believe it or not, there's more cable inside there than on some of the lighting rigs I put into bands. There's about 20 odd cables in there, and battery packs and various things to facilitate the lights and the electrics.
Yeah, some fantastic work there, and even some little funky details up here as well.
Yep, Robin Hood. A few fun characters as well. Every build I do personally has to have a Batman in, and Batman's hiding on the side of the tower. It's just something for to get the kids involved with, and something that people say spot. There's a lot to talk about on this display, but any display I do, it's just stick a Batman in, and then if the kid's bored or not really interested, you can say, can you spot the Batman?
Yeah,
it's a nice little touch.
Gets involved. Just here with John, and he's going to walk us through the part that he's done for the cloud build.
I wanted to do something a bit more than just a tower or a few wall sections, and this is a castle. You've got to be able to get into the castle. what we need is a gatehouse. So I started with John's original design for the towers. I built 2 of those, but made them flat-sided, so I could put walls right up against them and leave enough space in here for, well, you're going to have a working gatehouse, surely. So originally I made this with a phone-controlled Control Plus, powered up app. So I could work it from behind the table. Of course, we've got no behind the table. Wouldn't it be a really good idea if we had something interactive here? So I built this, so that visitors can work the gates themselves. I've got 3 medium powered up motors inside here and a load of string.
So that's some brilliant functions you got there, and I guess the usual sort of questions is, how long do you think it took you to do, and what's sort of in it?
I think, given that it took a couple of iterations to get it right, probably around 100 hours, I think, spent on this. I rebuilt the towers completely, because after I had a disaster and one imploded completely just before a show, I thought, we rebuilt this in more structurally sound kind of method with a lot of technique inside to make a solid, because it's a different design to the original one. It's not as sturdy in its original design, so I had to redesign them in the core. So that added a whole load of hours to the project. But, I mean, who counts these hours anyway?
Yeah, exactly. As you can see, the tops are slightly different.
But what I can do actually is just remove the top of here.
Brilliant.
This is it's just a cheap Lenovo tablet that we had kicking around the house, which was a freebie from 5-6 years ago. We don't really use it for anything useful, and it's too slow and old and out of date to be used for anything. So it's the perfect candidate for having small children punch at it.
Oh, brilliant. You got the kids all set up, gone through a little witch there, pumpkin patch, in the cave, little potions, little guy, sword and a stone, pulling it out, which all came up with. And turn along here, a little procession up into the sarcophagus, and you've even got Darth Vader in the back. A nice tree over the top. Now we'll go through and show a time lapse of building out one of the round cylindrical towers. You start off with this funky little base configuration, then go through and build out the spiral staircase by building the individual stairs and then just spinning them around and placing them in place there. You can see you build up then the individual supports to really hold it in place. Next up are 6 of these roundish type sections which you go through and build. Because you've got the staircase, they're all individually different because obviously the doors and windows are at slightly different heights. Thus, it's not a matter of just doing the same section 6 times. It is actually slightly different each time you build it. It is quite a challenging build, but then when you get to the end of it and all comes together, it is very satisfying having then done it. Lots of really interesting snot techniques. You are looking between 10 to 16 hours for each tower for the 4,500 pieces, and it weighs the better part of 3.5 kilograms or 7 pounds each. Get all the sections in place and there is something very satisfying about that curved shape. Build out the top platform, which is all pretty much built sideways, and getting some really interesting angles in there. Finishing up with the top rounded section, which is then also built upside down as well, and the last interlocking pieces. So when you come to the last 2 panels to put onto here, so panels 5 and 6, best just to actually take these individual pieces off first, put them in top and bottom, and then attach the whole actual face plates, because otherwise if you put one in, when you try to put the other one in, you're going to have nowhere to sort of grip on it and push it in. So it's just a more optimal way of doing it. Here we'll look at building up one of the wall sections and just start off by going to be using lots of these masonry bricks stacked 3 high. So just go through and build out 40 odd to begin with, just make the rest of it go much faster. Start by building the top half section of the wall. This is actually a lot more difficult than what it looks because you've actually got a 1 tile thickness stripe there in the red going all the way around. If you didn't have that, you'd probably just build this thing straight up. Here you've got a combination of different techniques, and then here going to be using to flip things upside down, some different snot techniques, and also just different jumpers and techniques. Those shields really hook in a nice, comfortable, tight manner. Here are some more techniques to be able to get things to go basically upside down. The finished effect of being virtually studless is actually quite worthwhile, and it's really nice. Each one of these 12 stud wide sections is about 700 pieces, and then go through and build up so you can put in the brown hand railing. Similar to the tower, the merlons are built in upside down as well. The bottom half is then built up using pretty much 3 identical sections that you just build as individuals and then join together and put onto the bottom. And if you do want to build this, there'll be links around the video to places such as Bricklink, where you can get instructions on building steps pretty much for free. This one is on John Gale's account because he's done the original design. And if you go over to the building steps, wait a little bit for it to load up, you'll be able to get all the different steps here, which you can just sort of cycle through. And the nice thing about this as well, you can sort of flip it and move it around, see sort of what's going on, and see all the different ways it goes. Some of the steps can be quite dense in terms of you're going to be doing lots of pieces a lot, so it's like here, build this up once, repeat it the whole way through. So while there's only 500 steps, sometimes you are putting a large number of pieces per step, and it will take you quite some time. You can also go in and have a look at the 3D model as well. Again, same sort of thing. Spin around, have a look. So if you need to double check anything. And I think the intent is to then put in some of the other wall sections and have the instructions available. So if you want to go through and build your own, then you'll be able to do that. And certainly if you do manage to build it, then post some photos or links or any socials so that we can have a look, and it'll be great. And we'll finish up here with some shots of the castle and the details. Thanks very much for watching, and if you leave the word castle in the comments, we'll know you've watched this far. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button and consider subscribing to the channel, and a share never goes astray. If you want to see my custom Sonic the Hedgehog course compares with the official set, check out this video. Otherwise, this video will show you how to build it. Here are some other videos you might be interested in.